You have been doing your shadow work. You have closed out of a long, painful cycle as far as love and romance is concerned. You cut those cords, you deleted those texts and numbers, you stopped responding to people that were just giving you the same runaround over and over and over again. Same person, same results of disappointment, and you said enough of that. And you closed the door. And this is something that has caused a reset. A new cycle has commenced for you. And with this comes new opportunities for love and romance. It feels like with this energy of battle, you have several potential suitors that are headed your way right now. These are people, it feels like two significant people have already been in like secret admirer mode for quite some time, watching and waiting, gathering up the courage to approach. For some of you, they may be very like intimidated by your energy or by your presence. And so it's kind of like, okay, the typical ways in which I would just go up and introduce myself to someone or spit game or, kind of like give those signals that I'm interested, that doesn't seem to be the kind of thing that's going to work in this circumstance. Because even if these people aren't like normally kind of energetically sensitive or psychic, something within your energy in the process of metamorphosis that you have been going through, that has been observed by secret admirers and maybe by others in your life, this process of a glow up as you have chosen yourself and you've chosen to release the disappointments of the past. This is something that has almost created like an energetic barrier around you where for the time being your spirit guides, your ancestors, your angels, God, source has been like, nope, nobody approaches. Look, but don't touch, because you were in this process of needing to bring something firmly to a conclusion so you could step fully into this energy of like abundance and prosperity and to call in new types of people, new types of cycles, new types of romance, new types of romantic potentials and partners, because you've created a very new version of yourself. So now that kind of like barrier has lifted. You have exited that phase very effectively and with grace. It feels like your spirit team is giving you a round of applause, a standing ovation. You're going to get your flowers for the efforts that you've made to make very tough decisions, to discontinue the karmic loops and patterns, step away from even like thought processes that were not serving your highest good. People that you'd been holding space for their return, or you'd been, participating in like a back and forth, accepting breadcrumbs, kind of settling for something very mediocre. Your departure from that and kind of choosing better for yourself, reaching for more, cultivating that healthier mindset. This is something that has now created a powerful kind of like change in sort of the magnetic polarity of your energy, where these two secret admirers, they have now kind of like gotten this sort of inclination. Their instinct is like, okay, it feels like now's the time to approach. Yeah, this is their free will decision to kind of like take steps forward, but there's something energetically kind of beyond their higher awareness, or maybe one or both of them is kind of subtly aware, hey, something feels different. Feels like I've gotten that sign to progress forward, to move forward, no matter how conscious or unconscious they are of that. The point is that there's been kind of like a green light that has been given. It is now the season for you to experience a different sort of possibility in romance than what you've known before. This is also a time where your frequency that you are emitting, like a highly magnetic frequency, that powerful glow up within, where you've created that energetic space within you to receive, this is going to be something that feels like you're going to have a lot of eyes on you. You're going to get a lot of attention, but not just people that are approaching like with the energy of lust. This is almost something where people are going to have to kind of battle beyond those lower natures within in order to step into a place of like willingness to meet you on kind of a concurrent emotional frequency and openness, the energy of release, in order to step into experiences of commencing something that is deeper, that is meaningful, that has more long-term potential, that is going to be activating, it feels like, potential suitors or people that are attracted to you to kind of like go upon this sort of journey within themselves, to battle the limits that they have placed, or energies that they are still holding on to that have created stagnation, or being stuck in like a karmic phase, to extract themselves from that, to leap forward towards you, to present themselves as a romantic option, because it feels like you're sending out this very powerful frequency at this point in time of like, you are on that empowered timeline. You're not going to settle for less than you deserve. Whatever you might have settled for, or you had chased or pursued or had tried to call in the past, like that's over. That's done with. The rules of the game have changed, and you're the game master at this particular point in time. You've learned the lessons from the past. You've chosen yourself. You've called a better version of you to the surface. And that is very apparent. And so it feels like there's going to be like a whole new selection of people, not just like one person approaching. For my singles, where you've been in that shadow work mode for a while, you haven't had any kind of like real sort of connection with other people. This is going to be something that it's going to surprise you just how much that shifts, where instead of just like, okay, here's one person that comes forward, it's like, here's several people that come forward, going from almost just like having to love yourself, comfortable in your own company, to there's options now. Yeah, we've got bond. So you are in the right timeline for love. This is the season of love. Love is in the air for you. It feels like this is something that pretty quickly you're going to start to perceive and feel that within your energy. New energies approaching. But unlike previously, when you may have been able to kind of sense, okay, there's somebody in my energy, I can tell there's like secret admirer, or people had taken steps to kind of like present themselves or try to get to know you, and that may have been something that set off alarm bells, or kind of alerted your discernment. Maybe for some it's like you didn't listen to that, you overlooked the red flags and proceeded forward anyway, and it turned out to be a lesson. This is going to be a very different kind of experience. It feels like people approaching, there's an intensity to it, but also something that brings a lot of peace and reassurance, that regardless of what the long-term potential is with these like potential suitors, that it's almost something that it's like you've got the skills to sort of navigate that in a way that you're not just going to stumble back into an experience of like heartbreak and lessons. That this is something that you are definitely in kind of like the power position. You're going to be able to connect to and resonate with people on that higher frequency. Like your energy announces itself and then kind of dictates the terms of what people are bringing forth, what they are presenting. So this is more high effort individuals, high quality individuals, not people that are going to, kind of knock on your door and then play hide and seek, expect you to go and chase them. These are people that it feels like they're going to want to prove like why you should choose them out of other potential suitors. These are people that are moving towards you with the intention of like, we start where we are, but I'm looking for long term. I'm looking for serious. These are people that are also tired of playing games, romantically speaking. So it feels like you're going to have your choice. You're going to have your options. You're going to have the pick of the litter. That this is something where you're not just going to have to settle or like, okay, good, finally there's somebody I can stand to be around, that isn't kind of like bringing out the worst in me and I'm bringing out the worst in them. That it's like you've moved beyond that chapter of your life. You've released that version of yourself that would tolerate such things, or was even, kind of being subversive towards you, like you're wounding, calling in people that would only serve to exacerbate that. Like you've moved beyond that experience substantially. And so this is the season to kind of experience a deeper romance, a truer romance, things that it feels like you're not going to be sort of heavy with regrets for taking a chance on people, getting to know people, even if these are like short-lived experiences, little talking stages, maybe a situationship here or there, some kind of spicy fling, or something where you're actually starting to like date people. Maybe it's leading to, long-term connection. It feels like you're going to walk away with your head held high. You're not going to be in a position of like, ooh, that was cringe. That was not my best moment. That's something I'm kind of ashamed of. Or, if I could kind of erase that or have a do-over, I would do something different there. You've graduated beyond that season of your life. So this is kind of like your spirit team letting you know, again, like, here's your flowers, here's your standing ovation, here's your congratulations for all of that hard work of kind of like breaking the cycle, breaking the pattern in your life, releasing the people, places, and things that you knew were not good for you. Even for some of you, this may have been kind of like a lingering hope of someone from the long forgotten past kind of stepping up, turning things around. you might have kind of reached the point of no return with that situation. You made the toughest decision that you could, which was to let that person go. Let that person go with love. Choose yourself. Choose to kind of like move in the direction of aligning people who choose you the first time around. And so anything like that that kind of fits in with your circumstance, this is something where the universe is going to reward you for that very quickly. Yeah, we also have luck. So this is the idea of like plenty of fish in the sea, and you're not going to have to kind of like scour the ocean floor in order to kind of just come up with some little something. This is something that it's kind of like the net's going to be full. You're casting a very wide net with your energy at this particular point in time. Your glow up is something that is deeply attractive to people. Again, it is incentivizing or enticing at least two secret admirers to step forth out of the shadows, to present themselves, to confess their feelings, or to introduce themselves for the first time. This could also be people that are in your life at this point who have seen you go through some kind of transformation. They've witnessed kind of this up leveling, and it's like, okay, this feels like something I'm wanting to experience, romantically speaking. In the midst of your transformation, a friend might have developed romantic feelings, developed a little crush. Unlike previous seasons of your life where that could have been something that, just led to confusion or led to you kind of in the energy of chasing her back and forth. Circumstances like that, it's no, this is somebody that's going to come forth, and they're going to be able to do right by you. They're going to be emboldened by the fact that it's like we got this great foundation of a friendship between the two of us. So yeah, let me take that plunge. Let me take that leap of faith forward to exploring romance outwardly. We also have abundance. Yeah, so this is definitely a season of your life starting now, and it feels like this is something over the next like 18 to 36 months that it's going to represent like a night and day change compared to what the last season of your life, the last couple of years, or even a longer term sense for some of you, like the last decade has looked like. There might have been quite a lot of lessons that you needed to move through, or even kind of sitting with yourself for a period of time to really get serious about sort of like ways in which you were standing in your own way. You were the self-saboteur, or that wounding within that needed to be addressed, needed to be alchemized into wisdom. That was the picker. That was the thing doing the picking for you. Are those kind of like unnamed wounds, sort of like calling in or causing you to resonate with people that were just going to give you a very familiar experience of the type of disappointment that might have been sitting very deeply and for a while unclaimed within your shadow. Well, you've done your due diligence. You have claimed those wounds. You've created healing for yourself. You've cultivated an abundance mindset despite the ways in which love might have been disappointing for you overall or recently. And so whatever it is that you've done, that has definitely kind of like switched the polarity of the vibe that you're putting out. It feels like your vibe at this point is very repellent to people that are of that lower frequency. It's like your light irritates their demons. They're not even going to try and approach to give you the runaround or, to try to like weasel their way in. Because there's a sense of like you have up leveled so substantially, you're oozing abundance, you're radiating this energy of a glow up, and so it is sending out a signal very loud and clear to people that actually have something to offer. Yes, you need to use your discernment. Yes, you need to kind of like be street smart, be smart within yourself. Use kind of like the wounds from the past and all that you went through in order to kind of crystallize that into wisdom as your guiding light, as your compass, as your map, navigating towards what feels right and what feels off. But overall, it feels like the people that are emboldened to take steps towards you, that you'd take seriously, that you'd get to know, that you're attracted to, that there's chemistry with, that there's potential with, they have a lot more to offer than previous people that you were dealing with. Or even circumstances where there had been potential between yourself and others that was never really actualized. Even in that element of potential, there's so much more to work with here than there was in that previous chapter, previous season of your life with previous people. So this is something that it feels like you're going to definitely celebrate yourself as well when these new kind of loving experiences fully manifest and materialize for you, when you're living in the midst of that, of not just kind of like, great, somebody came along, but it's like, no, now I get to pick and choose. choose? Who am I wanting to, experience things with? Who am I wanting to allow in close? People that try to like earn your trust, earn your affection, follow through on promises and talk not as something that's cheap, but as something of value. They're following that through with action. They're following that through with effort. You're giving high quality energy, so it's high quality people that are coming towards you. And this is going to be something like this window of time between like now and the next 36 months. It feels like this is going to be something that informs your journey for your life going forward. Whatever your process, your methodology, or the time that you took to kind of go through that period of shadow work, coming to understand like your own wounding cycles that you were trapped within, and freeing yourself from that in different sorts of ways, tough love towards yourself or maybe even others. This is something it feels like that is really going to empower and inform the ways in which you take bold steps to sort of not just wait on divine timing, but in terms of like manifesting abundance or, like the reality of whatever your best life will look like to you as that evolves and you evolve through like the years of your life to come. This experience, this window of time that you've just stepped out of, and kind of the benefits that are coming towards you, these new and better experiences and people that are coming towards you, all of this is going to be like food for thought moving forward, so that when you next come to a place of like maybe you want to up level in your career, or there's different things that you want to experience as far as prosperity, or if this is not kind of like the love of your life coming towards you, but just sort of a better quality or caliber of individual that you're getting ready to encounter. When you're at that time where it's kind of like, okay, now is the season for the love of my life, you're going to be able to look back and have this kind of mechanism of what you went through, no matter how hard that was, most especially to face yourself or take personal accountability and ownership for yourself as kind of a common denominator within dissatisfying circumstances, or, things that had happened, and like you needed to sort of come in control of your own healing, even though you weren't in control of like the wounds that you sustained, whatever it is that looked like, something like that mindset, that process, that vibe, that place of alignment within that you have cultivated, that you've created, that you've developed, that's going to be a cornerstone for efforts that you make going forth to actively move towards, call in, and become that right frequency to receive those better types of experiences, those better types of opportunity, those better types of people that will continue to kind of draw your sights beyond things that you're dissatisfied with in the material world, and making a very conscious choice to like mindfully move towards a specific type of experience in the future. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.